Why would he not want an inspector general taking a look? Why wouldn't he want it for the good of the Ukrainian people? You got a dichotomy there, right? You got very good people, many of whom died because Biden was president. Biden, of course, is not intellectually able to do this logical contortion. He never could, even before he was senile. I know him. Too stupid to go through this logical progression. But the fact is, these people are dead because of him. If Trump were president, Putin would not have invaded. If Putin hadn't invaded, none of the people would have died. Why did they invade? Because of several reasons. First, I think the minute he became president, they knew they had a massive weakling there who had never made a correct decision about foreign policy in his life, per Secretary Gates in the Obama administration. Number two, they knew they had a pathetic coward who would not act. He was against killing bin Laden. There's nobody in the world that was against killing bin Laden but him. He was the guy who said that China is our friend. He's the only person in America who said that. Well, of course, there were 31 million reasons for that. So Putin didn't just rest his decision on that. Putin is a mean, vicious, evil man, but he's an intelligent man. And he tested him. He poked him. I'm going to go into Ukraine. I'm not going to put any troops on the ground. I'm going to go into Ukraine. I'm going to put any troops on the ground. I'm going to go into Ukraine. I'm going to put any troops on the ground. I'm going to go into Ukraine. Mr. President, will you go in? Not if it's a minor incursion. I just got all the information I wanted as the former head of the KGB, didn't I? I got that jackass for a month and a half to go on television and basically kiss my you-know-what. And I got every indication that I could get. He ain't going to do nothing if I go in. And then I go in. What do you think if he started doing that with Trump? Trump would have said, goodbye, Moscow. That's what he would have said. Oh, yeah, you're coming in? Where do you exactly stay when you leave Moscow? Or maybe Z would remember the day that Trump left him at a dinner, went and bombed Syria, and came back and finished his dinner. You see, that's the difference in having a president like a Reagan or a Trump and having, well, we've never had a president like this. Well, tomorrow we'll find out more about what is going on with this plea that looks like it has been correctly located by the judge as a major, major scandal. We haven't had much to cheer the judiciary about, particularly in Washington, D.C., with what they're doing to those January 6 people who remind me of the Japanese who were interned during the Second World War by this fascist administration. And we'll find out more about whether they're going to go ahead and Democrats are going to succeed in getting Trump nominated by acclamation and elected by unanimous vote. That would be if they did 2 more indictments, because each indictment he gains 10%. He is now ahead by a margin of about bare minimum 30, maximum 45% over a DeSantis who has sunk below 15 and is now being threatened for second place. In a few places, Haley is in second place. Scott's got a chance at second place. Ramaswamy's got a chance at second place. They're all within 2 points of the once very powerful, sinking fast DeSantis. And I think he has himself to blame a bit for it, but he also has the Democrat Party to blame for it. Each one of these indictments is so patently unfair that Trump goes up. I still wish there's not another one for the good of the country. And I conclude the way I began. Is there a Democrat with honor? Just one. That loves this country more than the money, the power, the glory that they get from being tied up with this crooked government. So please, somebody step up for America like Barry Goldwater did several generations ago. God bless America. Our purpose to bring to bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. There was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking, that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason, we're able to talk, we're able to analyze. We are able to apply our God-given common sense.
I'm going to pass it over to her after I open the session.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay, so I think we are at 9 o'clock. Today is Wednesday, July 26th. This is a Zoom special session of the Manzanita City Council regarding a land use hearing, appeal of 698 Dorcas Avenue, known as the Manzanita Lofts Hotel. I call this session to order. And Nancy, would you please do roll call?
Of course. Brad? Oh, he's muted. I know you're here. Okay, Brad. Jerry?
Here.
Linda?
Here.
And Deb?
Here, thank you. And thank you to all of the citizens who are joining us. It looks like a pretty full house here today. Because I have recused myself through the majority of this discussion, Linda, our council president, Councillor Kozlowski, has taken over and will facilitate the meeting today. So Linda, I pass this over to you. Thank you for taking this on.
Certainly. Thank you, Mayor Simmons. Good morning. My name is Linda Kozlowski, and I am the City Council President, and I will be presiding over a land use hearing today. This is the time and place set for the public hearing in the matter of an appeal of the Planning Commission decision to deny a planned unit development application to create a 34-unit hotel at 698 Dorcas Lane in the SRR zone. At a special hearing on July 12, 2023, the City Council determined that the scope of review per Manzanita Zoning Ordinance Section 10.180 will be restricted to the record made on the decision being appealed. This means that no new evidence has or shall be accepted, and that the City Council's decision will be made based on the evidentiary record and arguments made before the Council today. This hearing is now open. The special criteria for approval are summarized in the staff report and will be reviewed at this hearing. All arguments must be directed toward the approval criteria. Please note, in their decision, the City Council may reject comments or ordinance citations that are not of use in these remand proceedings or evidence that was not submitted first before the Planning Commission. The case will begin with the City Attorney's summary of the Council's authority to make a decision in this matter. After that, I will ask the Council members to declare any potential bias and ex parte comments. The applicant will have 20 minutes for their presentation, followed by 20 minutes for the presentation of the Oregon Coast Alliance, or ORCA, who intervened on behalf of a group of concerned citizens before LUBA. The staff report will follow. Councilors may then direct questions to those who testified. After that, those in favor of the proposal and finally those opposed to the proposal may speak for 5 minutes. Please limit your comments to the criteria and avoid repetition. If anyone else has already expressed the same thoughts, it is perfectly all right to state that you agree with the statements of the previous speaker. If you sent a written response to the proposal, please do not repeat your comments. They are all already part of the record. Finally, the applicant will be entitled to a 10-minute rebuttal. Time limits per person shall not be extended by a person ceding their minutes to another person. At the close of the hearing, no further information shall be received except for specific questions of staff. Because this hearing is on the record, no new evidence will be introduced. At the conclusion of today's hearing, the City Council may enter into deliberations, but a final decision will not be rendered until the special hearing on July 28, 2023 at 10 a.m. via Zoom. No additional testimony or argument will be permitted during that meeting, and the Council will conclude their deliberations and make a final decision. I will now turn the meeting over to our City Attorney's Office for explanation about quorum.
Thank you. Yes, I'm here. Thank you. The City Council is in a unique position today with only 4 members currently sitting and 2 having previously recused themselves for potential bias or actual bias. And as you know, as we all know, there are a number of requirements on the city for this land use hearing. The first is the 120-day time clock, which I'll talk about in a second. And then the second issue is that the city must have authority to make a decision on the application, or the council must have quorum, meet all the quorum requirements and the charter's requirements to actually render a final decision in this matter. So I'm going to give a bit of background about how those 2 issues intersect, and then give an explanation of what the council can do to move forward and make its final decision. So as we're all aware, the city has 120 days from the date that a remand is initiated to make a final decision in writing. The 120-day time clock has been extended by 1 week, but it is still currently set to expire on August 4th. And the consequences of failing to make a determination within 120 days on remand can include that the matter may be moved out of the typical land use process into a court proceeding, and could potentially result in the city having less or no control over whether the use is approved, and also an award of another party's attorney fees and costs against the city. But as it sounds now, the time frame for the city isn't an issue. The council can hold its hearing today, make a determination on Friday, and reduce that decision to a final written decision within the time frame to act. The second issue before the council relates to quorum. Based on the Manzanita City Charter, Section 14, a majority of the members of the council shall constitute a quorum to transact business, but a smaller number may meet and compel the attendance of the absent members. The provision that's more at issue here today is Section 19 of the Charter, which requires a concurrence of a majority of the members of the City Council to decide any question before the Council. So together, these provisions require that at least 3 members of the Council participate in the land use hearing, and then at least 3 Council members must agree on the result to make a final determination. And at present, we only have 2 Council members participating in the hearing. That's not enough for the Council to officially decide any question. There need to be at least 3 votes to make a decision under Section 19 of the Charter. The way to resolve this is to move forward under an exception in Oregon law. It's called the Rule of Necessity, and that's in ORS 244-120, Section 2, subsection B, subsection B. And that allows counselors who have otherwise recused themselves due to actual conflicts to vote if their vote would be necessary for the council to meet a minimum number of votes to take an official action. This law allows members with conflicts to vote, but not to participate in the discussion or deliberations. And under LUBA case law, the same exception applies to counselors who have recused themselves for bias. And so the rule of necessity here would allow the formerly recused counselors to participate in the vote only. So they won't be participating in any of the discussion today or any of the discussion or deliberations on Friday, but will be able to participate in the vote. The rule of necessity does not change the requirements of Section 19 of the Charter. So in other words, the vote on Friday, if it ended up being a 2-2 tie, that would not be a final decision. At least 3 members have to agree on whatever option they choose, whatever option the council chooses. So to move forward, the council can follow the following process. It will hold the hearing today. Councilor Mayerly and Mayor Simmons will need to state the nature of the potential or actual bias for the record, declare any ex parte contacts they may have had, including the nature and substance of those contacts, in order to allow the other parties an opportunity to rebut the contacts. And then on Friday, the council will discuss and deliberate, and the 2 formerly recused members of the council won't participate in that portion of the hearing, but will participate in the vote. And when the council votes, the 2 deliberating members will vote first, and then the 2 formerly recused members will have a chance to vote. And if the first vote results in 3 members in agreement, the second formerly recused member doesn't need to vote. And then this is on a separate issue. I'd just also like to remind the council and the public that this is a 2-part hearing. And because of that, the council may not discuss the decision or may not deliberate or discuss between the 2 hearings, and can't have any ex parte contact with any person participating here today or anyone else about the decision that they will be making on Friday. I'd be happy to answer any questions that the council may have.
Are there any questions from council? Okay, I see none. With procedurals out of the way, I need to ask the audience if there is any objection to the notice that was sent in this case. Are there any objections to the jurisdiction of this body to hear and consider this case?
The applicant has an objection.
Go ahead.
We object to the inclusion of both of the recused commissioners in the voting process. Under the statute that Ms. Miller just cited, the rule of necessity only requires the participation of previously recused members to the minimal amount necessary to achieve a quorum. The quorum of this council is 3 votes, and we have 2 participating members who have not recused themselves, so we only need the participation of 1 more council person in the ultimate vote, not 2. I would point out that given that the 2 council members have recused themselves based on concerns about bias against the application, that would most likely suggest they're going to vote against the application, resulting in at best a 2-2 vote, which would be would not overturn the planning commission's decision, making this hearing essentially a farce. So we object to the inclusion of both commissioners. We would not object to the inclusion of one or the other.
Savani, do you want to respond to that?
I think that will be resolved by the process that we have laid out. If the first person votes in agreement or in agreement with the other two members, then the second person would not need to vote to make any final action. But if that person disagrees, then the third person would need to have an opportunity to vote for the council to make a final action, because we need to have 3 in agreement. So I think
No, you don't need to have 3 in agreement. You need to have 3 voters for a quorum.
well, there's
A
not
quorum
there's
of 3 and then vote 2 to 1 in favor that overturns the appeal. Or overturns the division, I should say.
so there's a wrinkle in the Manzanita Charter that requires a concurrence. So that's section 19. It requires a concurrence of 3 members on the council to act, which is the provision that we're kind of working through here.
Right.
I understand that that's unusual.
I'm advocating that 3 members act. I mean, this is a standard point of Rules of Roberts of Order. Once you have a quorum, a majority of the quorum can make a binding decision.
That's not correct under the city's charter.
I disagree and I object.
Okay, well, then I think that the council can just note the objection and move forward.
Okay, so noted. Thank you. So are there any other objections to this hearing or the jurisdiction of this hearing? Okay, other than the applicant's objection, I hear none. I need to now ask the council, are there any declarations of conflict or bias, ex parte contact, or site visits by any member of this body? And I will start. I have done a site visit I've actually done 2 site visits in the last month, and I go by it all the time, so I'm very familiar with the site.
I'll go next on the issue of site visit. I did make a purposeful site visit recently. I'm also very familiar with the area just from traveling back and forth to the recycling center on Classic. I've also visited the site from the Fifth Fairway, not on purpose, but just a slice or two. But I've not had any ex parte contacts. I've never met Mr. Sorelli. I don't know his attorney. I've not met Mr. Malone. There certainly have been plenty of people in the community who've wanted to talk about this, but I have resisted any substantive discussions about this matter with anybody in the community.
Thank you, Jared. Brad?
Well, let's start at the beginning, I guess. Last summer when I was a candidate, I gave public testimony once before council. I can't remember if I did it twice. I know I did it at least once. I also signed a petition that asked the city council to look at concerns about the project. In addition, I attended meetings of the concerned citizens in Manzanita. I only did that up until the time of the election. I have not participated or joined those meetings since the election. I haven't ever met the applicant or any of the attorneys or anyone I believe represents him. And I haven't made a site visit, but I've certainly driven by it a billion times. So that's what I got.
Thanks, Brad. Deb?
Yes, in April and May of 2022, prior to any political decisions about running for office, I gave public testimony at the June 2022 council meeting. The concerns voiced, Savani said we needed to be transparent and complete. The concerns voiced were about the infringement of wetland and public safety. safety. Around that same time period, I, along with 130 plus other citizens, signed a petition with the concerned citizens of Manzanita known as CCOM. My announcement to run for mayor did not happen until August. As an elected official, I have attended 2 CCOM meetings. I think it's 2, but I got up and left when any discussion arose pertaining to this particular development. And as an elected official, I have sworn an oath to look at the facts and uphold the laws and procedures pertaining to any development decision. I have not had any conversation with citizens after the last planning commission meeting, in which I thanked them for their diligent service. I have never met the applicant. I drive by the site probably every day, but I've never walked down below to look at things more closely. Thank you.
Thank you. So I will note for the record that Mayor Simmons and Councilor Mayerly have declared the reasons that they initially recused themselves, as well as their ex parte contacts. As we heard from our city attorney's office, they can be present for the hearing today and may participate in the vote on July 28, 2023. They will not be permitted to participate in any discussions or deliberations in the process. All right, we are ready now to talk about the issues before the council. And Scott, would you please put the issue up on the screen? The issues up on the screen.
Here, give me just a minute to get this on there.
Okay.
Nancy, I need to be able to share my screen.
All right, permission granted.
There we go.
I wanted this to be really clear because we are limited to the issues that we'll discuss that are before the council, and we are limited to the issues that I will just read. As indicated in the notice and applicant's request for council review, there are few issues for the council to decide. These are also listed in the staff report, but to sum up, A, with respect to MZO 3.030 subsection 4 subsection A, the council must decide, 1, the council need not determine whether the dwelling units apply to the hotel's units if the council determines that based on the evidence in the record, the proposed use can meet the density standard by dedicating 40% of the total lot or parcel area for use as a public or private park. If the council determines that the density standard is met, the council may approve the use with a condition of approval requiring the applicant to designate 40% of the total lot or parcel area as a park. 2, alternatively, the council may make an interpretation on the record about whether dwelling units as used in the code indicates the proposed hotel units. If no, this criterion presents no bias for denial, and the council should find that the applicant meets the criterion. If yes, then the council will need to consider whether the density standards can be met. 3, if the council determines that the hotel units are dwelling units, it would need to determine whether the proposed use can meet the density standard. I'll read that again. If the council determines that the hotel's units are dwelling units, it would need to determine whether the proposed use can meet the density standards. If yes, the evidence in the record shows that the proposed use can meet the density standards by dedicating at least 40% of the total area as a public or private park, then the council should find that the applicant meets this criterion. If no, the evidence in the record shows that the proposed use cannot meet the density standard by dedicating at least 40% of the total area as a public or private park, then the council should find the application does not meet the criterion. B. With respect to MZO 4.136 subsection 3 subsection C subsection 5, the City Council must determine whether, based on the evidence in the record, the streets are adequate to support the anticipated traffic, and the development will not overload the streets outside the planned area. If the evidence shows that the streets are adequate to support the anticipated traffic, and the development will not overload the streets outside the planned area, it should determine that this criterion is met. If the evidence shows that the streets are inadequate to support the anticipated traffic, or that the development will overload the streets outside the planned area, it should determine that this criterion is not met. Okay, Scott, you can take that down now. We are now ready to proceed. Nancy, will you be our timekeeper?
Yes, I will.
Thank you. First, would the applicant please make the case for their appeal of the Planning Commission's decision to deny planned unit development application of 698 Dorcas Lane? You have 20 minutes.
Thank you, Vito here. I just wanted to start off by saying thank you again for hearing this case. I just want to follow up on a couple items for things get going. Again, the SRR is an outright zone use for a hotel or motel, and it's what I've been proposing in this application from the start of the review. These are not intended for dwelling or long-term living units. They would be designed and built to a commercial use, similar to the last hotel that was approved in Manzanita, similar to the Coast Cabins a block away. Throughout this process, I haven't been asking for modifications or any adjustments to code. There's no variances in early staff reports and in pre-app meetings. This can be seen. I had meetings with the sewer, the water, and the fire department, all of which have reviewed and approved more access or utilities to the site. Throughout the last year and a half, I've been requested to follow with wetlands, with stormwater review. Both of those have come back with no issues. DSO was on site and confirmed and concurred with their state findings that there's no wetlands on site. After these items, traffic was the last one that was needed to be reviewed further, and we did a full traffic analysis based on the scope letter provided by the city of Manzanita's third-party consultant. We did calculations on site, created a report, and from my understanding, the city's review of their third-party impact, there's no impact for the code outline, so they concurred with our findings. I guess at this point, I hope that we can review the zoning code and if there's any items that we feel are not being met within the zoning ordinance established by the city, and be ready to discuss any conditions that you feel are not being satisfied, because I've put a lot of time and energy to work within those parameters that have been established by the city, and are open to a discussion if there's any items that you feel that are not being met.
The issue here today is Section 19 of the Charter, requires a concurrence of a majority of the members of the City Council to decide any question before the Council. So together, these provisions require that at least 3 members of the Council will participate in the land use hearing, and then at least 3 Council members must agree on the result to make a final determination. And at present, we only have 2 council members participating in the hearing. That's not enough for the council to officially decide any question. There need to be at least 3 votes to make a decision under Section 19 of the Charter. The way to resolve this is to move forward under an exception in Oregon law. It's called 244-120, section 2, subsection B, subsection B. And that allows counselors who have otherwise recused themselves due to actual conflicts to vote if their vote would be necessary for the council to meet a minimum number of votes to take an official action. This law allows members with conflicts to vote but not to participate in the discussion or deliberations. And under LUBA case law, the same exception applies to counselors who have recused themselves for bias. So the rule of necessity here would allow the formerly recused counselors to participate in the vote only. So they won't be participating in any of the discussion today or any of the discussion or deliberations on Friday, but will be able to participate in the vote. The rule of necessity does not change the requirements of Section 19 of the Charter. So in other words, the vote on Friday, if it ended up being a 2-2 tie, that would not be a final decision. At least 3 members have to agree on whatever option they choose, whatever option the council chooses. So to move forward, the council can follow the following process. It will hold the hearing today. Councilor Mearley and Mayor Simmons will need to state the nature of the potential or actual bias for the record, declare any ex parte contacts they may have had, including the nature and substance of those contacts, in order to allow the other parties an opportunity to rebut the contacts. And then on Friday, the council will discuss and deliberate, and the 2 formerly recused members of the council will participate in that portion of the hearing, but will participate in the vote. And when the council votes, the 2 deliberating members will vote first, and then the 2 formerly recused members will have a chance to vote. And if the first vote results in 3 members agreement, the second formerly recused member doesn't need to vote. And then on a separate issue,
put in a long day.
Council and public that this is a 2-part
What do you
hearing.
do?
Because of that, the council may not discuss the decision or it
Okay, yeah, that's not bad.
may not
The other good
deliberate
benefits.
process between the 2 hearings.
It's decent.
And
It's
can't have
definitely
any
better
ex parte
when you're like
contact
team
with
lead,
members participating here today or anyone
or you
else
know,
about
something
the
higher,
decision that they will be
coach,
making on
whatever.
Friday.
But I don't know.
I'd be happy to answer
I
any
should be
questions
team
that the
lead
council
soon
may have.
though. I mean, not really soon, but like within the next few months.
This is actually sick. That's awesome. Yeah, I work at Starbucks.
I need to ask
Same stuff, dealing with people. Yeah, I'm a shift as well. And it's fucking, it's worth it. It's definitely worth it. It's just a lot of work. I hate dealing with people. You know, every day people just remind you how stupid people can be.
I fucking hate people.
Yeah.
I worked at Jersey Mike's for like 10 years, like a year before this job, so yeah, I hate people.
Yeah, that'll do it. This week, I have had 10 people overdose in my bathroom, and like, with their pants down. It's just crazy. Exactly. There should be one day where you could just slap the shit out of people. Just one.
They let us pie our tea leaves the other day. We had to pay for it, and it was like it went to like some charity or whatever, some fundraiser they were doing. But,
That's worth it.
I think it was like $5 or something. We got the pie, whatever team leader coach you wanted that was up there.
Yo, I paid $20 a person to see my coworkers get pie for sure.
I think that will be resolved by the process that we have laid out if the first person votes in agreement.
Jackie, why are you pouring your beer in a mason jar?
Then the second person would not need to vote to make any final action. But if
This is the biggest glass I got.
the third person would
My favorite.
need to have an opportunity to vote.
Touche. Yeah, that's a jar.
You mean douche?
Whoa, no, it's a douche.
Well, there's not a provision.
I dropped that phone and I didn't work.
Yeah, that.
So there's a wrinkle in the Manzanita
Mason jars are
Charter
fucking solid, dude.
that requires the concurrence.
What?
19. It requires a concurrence of the
Mason jars.
City Council to act, which is the
Yeah.
provision that we're kind of working through here.
It's called the perfect mason.
Oh God, not with the Mason talk. Oh, it's actually called the perfect Mason? I'm triggered with the word Mason.
Okay, well, then I think the council can just move the objection forward.
Okay, so noted.
Where's number 2 at?
So are there any other
Huh?
objections?
Where's number 2?
I don't know.
On the jurisdiction of this hearing. Okay, other than the applicant's
Planning to take
objection,
over
I
the
have
room?
none. I need to now ask the council, are there any declarations of conflict or bias, exploratory contact, or site visits by any member of this body? And I will start. I have done a site visit in the last, I've actually done 2 site visits in the last month, and I go by it all the time, so I'm very familiar with the site.
Got to open a jar of fucking biscotti's eyebrows.
Yo, that's on fire.
Site visit recently. I'm also very familiar with
It's
the
in the fridge. Just wait for it to warm up. I want to fucking.
recycling.
You got a biscotti? You got a biscotti?
Also visited a
Huh?
street from the
What happened?
fairway, not on purpose, but
What'd you say?
slice or two. I've not had any exploratory contacts. I've never met
Fine,
Mr.
keep
Shirley.
your
I don't know his attorney. I've not met Mr. Malone.
Biscotti? Scotia.
There certainly have been plenty of people
Scotia?
in the community to talk about
Nova
this.
Scotia?
Any substantive discussions about this matter with anybody in the community?
Thank you, Jared.
Well, let's start at the beginning, I guess. Last summer, when I was a candidate, I gave
I was watching demolition today with
once
my
before council.
Actually,
I can't remember if I did it twice. I know I did it at least once.
in the future, you're not allowed to have.
That asked the city council to look at concerns about the project. In addition, I attended meetings of concerned citizens of Manzanita. I only did that up until the time of the election. I have not participated or joined those meetings since the election. I have never met the applicant or any of the attorneys or anyone I believe represents him. And I haven't made a site visit, but I've certainly driven by it a few times. So that's what I got.
Thanks, Fred. Again?
Yes, in April and May of 2022,
Take a dab at GMO while I wait for that.
political decisions about running for office. I gave public testimony at the June 2022 council meeting. The concerns voiced.
That's who he sounds like.
Needed to be transparent and complete.
Yeah, I fucking.
Concerns voiced were about
Sounds so familiar.
wetland and public safety.
Barely.
Around that same time
She
period,
was saying that I just heard somebody sound like
a
Google.
petition with the concerned citizens of Manzanita.
Nobody.
My announcement to the mayor did not happen until August. As an elected official, I have attended 2 CCOM meetings. I think it's 2.
I'm not.
But
Yeah, right.
I got up and left when any discussion arose pertaining to this particular development. And as an elected official, I have sworn an oath to look at the facts and uphold the laws and procedures pertaining to any development decision. I have not had any conversation with citizens after the last planning commission meeting, in which I thanked them for their diligence.
Yep.
I have never met the applicant.
Just wanted to
I
quickly
don't know this.
Why is your sleeve shorter than the other sleeve?
But I've never walked down below
Oh.
to look at things more closely.
I thought it was Bailey.
Condensation.
Condensation.
So I will note for the record.
The word is condensation.
The council clearly have declared the reasons that they initially recused themselves, as well as their ex parte contacts. As we heard from our city attorney's office, they can be present for the hearing today and may participate in the vote on July 28, 2023. They will not be permitted to participate in any discussions or deliberations in the process. Alright, we are ready now to talk about the issues before the council and
Okay, man. Cat boy. Cat boy.
I've been doing my panther exercises. I don't know if you've seen people like this.
It looks like a turkey exercise, like what they do in rain. They just look up.
Permission granted.
Yeah, I saw a photo of a panther doing that. Now, I don't know if they do that at the same time that they make that growling noise, which I think
Probably.
the panthers do make that growling. They do look like, but I don't know if, it's at the same time.
Panthers are scary as fuck.
Did you know that the black panther can either be a mountain lion or a jaguar? There's not only jaguars in Brazil, there's actually also mountain lions that are dark and hide in the shadows. So when you see a panther, it's very indeterminate. But they're different cats, they're not both large cats. The mountain lion's actually the largest small cat.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, did you know that there's more words for mountain lion than there are words for anything? That just so happens to be the thing that has the most words for it. If you count all the different Native American tribes and how they all had their own interpretation of these, there's probably so many freaking environments. So basically, it's a fucking overgrown, overpowered house cat, pretty much like my tabby cat.
Yeah, tabby cats are huge. They're big cats. Those mountain cats, too.
Well, the tabby cat is huge in terms of very muscular. Muscle.
Yeah, they are muscly.
The Maine Coon cat is.
Those ones, yes.
Yeah, that's the big one. Tabby cats are they're just built. They're not huge, but how you might say someone's like big if they're muscular. Did you ever check out that abacus thing? Because I was playing with that, but I didn't really do it. I was just like sliding the things around just for fun. I didn't like.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, but at least that's something. Apparently, kids that learn from an abacus learn math better. So I got people on time who are so fucking skeptical. They're like making fun of me. They go, "Oh, an abacus, that's for kids," but it's for kids who learn math well. You see, like what's wrong with that?
It's not just for kids. Didn't like pretty substantial people use them? Like adults?
I'm not sure. Like maybe it's like to count their money or something.
Yeah, I was never given. They never taught that. I was never given the opportunity to figure that out.
Yeah, they don't teach abacus in the United States. I think it's part of a fucking conspiracy where they don't want to teach us math. Why wouldn't they?
Well, this sounds so familiar. Can you refresh my memory?
Here, I'll send you the link. Actually, there's a pretty cool site. It's like an educational site where you can use a virtual abacus. And it's just like little beads, right, with different colors. But each different color can represent a different number. It's like an abstract representation of the math problems that you're doing. So it's a way to help you understand the math you're doing in a tangible way, and also to save memory, because then you have the visual representation of everything.
It's true, yeah.
People that play pool, they use pretty much an abacus. It's just like a simplified abacus. It's like a long string of beads, and they use that to keep track of who's winning the pool game.
Okay.
was winning a tournament, I guess.
Isn't that like reminds me of one of those Chinese counters? Is that what it's from?
It's a counter, yeah. So I used to actually tell the other students that they should count on their fingers and toes if they're having trouble with math, because you got to make it as simple as possible. Your working memory actually gets stressed out and overloaded. So what do you do when you run out of fingers and toes? I guess you use an abacus.
You can use your other fingers.
Yeah, that's right. I count
your butt.
It's a very advanced technique, but I can count using all my hairs, you know, by looking at this individual.
Joke failed. Joke failed. Yeah, but I get you. They haven't just.
So this is actually toytheater.com. So apparently there's other toys here, and the online abacus is only one of them. It's just going to take me forever because I'm tapped out. But eventually I'll get the ring.
I had an abacus. Now that
I think one of my teachers did have an abacus. Massachusetts actually has a pretty good educational system, so some of my teachers were pretty good and taught me. But yeah, people fucking gatekeep learning, you know. No learning if you're over the age of 21. You're not allowed to learn using that abacus.
Yeah, but you know what drives me nuts? Scientists that say things like 100 million years ago this happened. It's like, how the fuck could you ever know what happened 100 million years ago? And then they put all that into textbooks and spread them around.
I like it.
For example, like what do they have in that?
For example, dinosaurs. Okay, if dinosaurs are extinct, where did the chicken come from? Where did the ostrich come from? Where did they have similarities to the velociraptor?
Chicken apparently is very closely related to dinosaurs.
Which one?
Chicken. I mean, obviously the ostrich is as well, but the chicken is less obvious. But apparently they're closely related to T-Rex.
Yeah. So if all the dinosaurs went extinct, how is there a chicken store out?
Extinct. I guess it refers to the species.
Hi, Papa.
It's called evolution.
What is this called down here?
And things can exist at the same things can coexist that evolved alongside each other. It's called branching. It's called evolutionary branching. It's splitting. Basically, evolutionarily, things can branch off and now coexist alongside each other.
Yeah, but they said all the dinosaurs went extinct, all of them. So how is there evolutionary branching? There's no dinosaurs.
Because they evolved into a different species. It doesn't mean that they 100% were completely eliminated.
But that's what they said. They said it was extinct.
We'll take the Neanderthal.
Those species were extinct. They didn't say that they didn't evolve into anything else.
The Neanderthal is considered to be extinct, right? Yet some humans are a certain percentage of the Neanderthal.
Because they branched off into us by crossbreeding and other things.
I mean, I don't know. I'm just speculating.
I personally think Neanderthals still live, dude. I personally think that the missing link still lives, and I'm not gonna say who I think it is.
There was a giant caveman in Iraq that came out.
No, I'm sorry, but the missing link literally still lives. You see them. You see who the missing link is. Come on, let's all be real, dude.
Do you think it's the Aboriginals?
Let's be real. They don't really look the same. They have different IQs.
Aliens!
let's be real who the missing link is, dude. Come on. They come from a certain country where we know evolutionarily our missing link came from. Come on.
I know you're thinking about black people, but it's not right. It's wrong.
Why is that wrong? It's a beautiful thing to have been the thing that was an evolutionary link. That's beautiful. There's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't make you inferior or superior.
But you just said to have low.
I don't believe that I'm superior to any other fucking living creature on this planet, bro. We're all living creatures. Everything's different, dude. There's nothing wrong with being an evolutionary link.
Well, I don't know
many different tribes that have the same problem. Is that, like, you know, for example, you know, the Maasai warriors aren't necessarily very related to the people that were sold into slavery in the West. They're kind of different.
Again, things can coexist next to things that they evolved from. Just like we can coexist along monkeys that we evolved from, our missing link can coexist right along with other creatures that still live here. And they do.
Well, I agree in general, but in specific, I would say that the lemur is closer to where we evolved from. The lemur in Madagascar is the most primitive primate on the monkey.
Just because I think that they're more closely related to our missing link, like much more closely related to it, doesn't mean that I don't think they haven't evolved at all from it.
I think the octopus is still alive.
Dude, I'm sorry, but look at a caveman. Look at any photo of a caveman or any photo supposedly of our missing link. You just go look at photos of our supposed missing links. And then look at certain people, bro. They look fucking identical.
Yeah. You know, the we're actually very intelligent.
It's almost like they put it right out there in plain sight, but people are like willfully ignorant to it because they think that it's like super racist or hateful to like say your thing, bro, but it's not.
What type of African do you think is the most similar to
Is it racist or hateful for me to say a monkey's a monkey? No, bro. There's no hate involved in me saying a monkey's a monkey. They're evolved differently, right?
They really made it evolve from monkeys or lemurs to our knowledge.
We came from primates.
We evolved from this, right? We came from primates. So we evolved from some manner.
Primates came from monkeys, though, as well.
Lemurs actually are more primitive than monkeys. So they, you know, they have actually descended from the lemur, just based on what we know.
Regardless of that, a fish is a fish, dude. I don't like dislike fish. It's not there's no negative connotation behind calling a fish, bro. They're beautiful. I think they're more evolved than us in certain ways, in different ways. Like, there's nothing wrong with calling a fish, bro.
I'm just talking about the species.
There's nothing wrong with calling certain people maybe a little more closely related to a missing link, dude.
Nothing wrong with between monkeys and
I'm sorry, but those people like to say to us, I'm sorry, but do you know what black people think of us, bro? They think that we're fucking cavemen pieces of shit. They literally think that about us, that we're fucking caveman, Neanderthal pieces of fucking shit. They think that about us, that we're primitive. They literally think the same thing about us, but I'm sorry. When you look around, you look at pictures of cavemen, dude. I'm sorry.
Cro-Magnons.
You look at certain people and say, they don't look like us, dude. The pictures of cavemen that we know, the fossils of cavemen, don't look like us, brother. Their skulls are a little different. Their skulls are way more similar to certain people's skulls, dude.
Well, I'm less interested in the whole black versus white thing and more interested in, like, you look down on cavemen and Neanderthals, but apparently Neanderthals were very intelligent.
I don't look down, no, that's my point. Yes, I agree, you're right. And we, don't say we as in me and you, because no, say they, because I don't look down on cavemen. Cavemen actually had larger brains, were more logical, and actually smarter in certain ways. Yeah, they were more intelligent. That's why the higher Neanderthal DNA, you have the higher percentage of Neanderthal DNA, you have the higher IQ you have. Asians have higher levels of Neanderthal DNA. They're fucking smart as shit. They have the highest IQs on the planet. followed by us, who have the second most amount of Neanderthal DNA.
Have you heard of Denisovian men and another species of human? And apparently there are Asian people that are up to 7% Denisovian. Is what I read is true. And I've never heard of anyone that's 7% Neanderthal.
Correct. You're right, they are. There are, it's not just Neanderthals, you're right. There's several groups. And again, these groups of people can coexist along each other with varying amounts of different bits of different things. Just like, which is clearly why we look different.
I mean, white people are genetically different groups, and African Americans are. But I just want to point out that there are other genetically distinct groups within Africa that actually are not very related to African Americans. Like Obama, I always like to bring it up. Obama is not very closely related to, Kanye West. You know what I'm saying? Like they're not even the same fucking tribe.
Correct, but I mean,
because Obama's the Hutu. Kanye's Mahit.
All that has to do with interbreeding.
Interesting how Ethiopians and Kenyans have the best long distance ability from the Great Rift Valley, and how they also probably are the black people that travel out and colonize Asia. You can see the slow twitch muscle fiber mutation. Which can actually be an advantage.
I have that mutation. I have the AC. The ACTN3 mutation. I have that.
You have the fast twitch mutation.
Yeah, I have the ACT. Yeah, sorry, that's the fast twitch, not slow twitch mutation. Yes, I have the fast twitch mutation, the ACTN3.
Well, that can be good for sports.
What is that? What does that mean?
Survival and farming. It can actually be advantageous to have the slow twitching because they have big calories and you save oxygen.
Yeah, I don't. I burn out, bro. When I've done sports, I did sports throughout my whole life. I've always been athletic. I used to race motocross. I burn out before everyone else, bro. I do. I've got power. I've got that explosive power, but I burn out before other people. Like 1,000% I do. When I used to race motos, it would happen. Halfway, I would be the fastest rider. Always, bro. Just the most in control, fastest rider. Halfway through the moto, I would just burn out and flatline.
Travis Pastrana? Were you like Travis Pastrana?
Yes, I would crash. I was super, super fast, but I'd always crash, and I'd end up in last place. And I'd haul ass again past everyone because I would crash because I got so tired. It'd make me a little sloppy. Halfway through the moto, it had nothing to do with my skill level. I just get tired and sloppy and fucking crash. I'd fucking crash. That would give my muscles enough of a rest. Just crashing low would give my muscles enough of a rest, even though it didn't feel good to crash. That minute break, and then I'd hop back on my bike and fucking fly past everyone with a ton of strength again, and then get burnt out. Probably crash again even, and then finish like third place. I'd always finish at the top. But there was a burst and like a burnout in my riding, dude, like for sure. Happens when I mountain bike. When I mountain bike, bro, and I go ride with people, I can fucking sprint past people, get burnt out. Sprint past people, get burnt out. Like hardcore. It's just, that's the way.
You know that you can train your fast twitch fibers to have more of the characteristics of slow twitch fibers?
Yeah, so I've worked on that. I have. That's the way I've tried to train myself, to balance myself a bit. I think it's important to train your weaknesses, not necessarily just your strengths. So I've worked on that.
You do your sprints in a fatigued state. If you do a very extensive warm-up, and then you do the high-intensity interval training. That way your fast twitch fibers will be recruited for the endurance stuff.
Yeah. Here, I can show you. I got the ACT.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I do as well because I didn't do very much. Did you know that sedentary people naturally have more
Oh, he's a random fucking guy.
I did. But perhaps it's because I was a fucking couch potato and I simply, not soaring up faster. Maybe it's not genetics, maybe it was my
Yeah, that makes sense. That could possibly be.
When you stay home, sitting on the couch eating chicken nuggets,
Because you're walking off your life.
record, you know?
Of course, dude.
Every time. Random guy just chilling in the fucking way and acting like you're the asshole for saying they're in the way.
Before I go mountain biking, before I go mountain biking, I try.
Fuck America, dude. Fucking retarded.
What do you think about ketones? They're selling ketones online. They claim that they're more effective than carbs, but I read that you can get them from olives. So I've just been eating olives. You know, I believe in the real food. You know?
I didn't know that you can get ketones like that from
olives have ketones. Yeah, that's right.
I'm just always in ketosis, basically naturally. Me personally, bro. Every single time that I go pee, you can tell when you're in ketosis because of your urine. Like you can see fat and stuff in your urine. If you like take a piss, your piss will literally have like a. I am always in ketosis, dude. I don't think it's good. I think it's hard on your kidneys and stuff potentially, but I'm telling you, my body is like naturally in ketosis all the time. I think it's part of the reason why I, pretty much no matter what I do, I keep like a half decent physique. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying I'm like in amazing shape or anything. Like I've never gotten huge. I think it's because my body just operates like ketosis.
Sumo wrestlers, part of how they get big is they train in a fasted state. They're inducing starvation response, so that way when they refuel, body grows more. Yeah.
Dude, so mountain biking, I thought mountain biking would make me skinnier. It actually made me store fat harder, Catboy. Endurance sports actually made my body store fat harder. It did the opposite of what I thought it would do. I was like, dude, mountain bikes
doesn't look like what you would think.
Yeah, I was like, mountain bike is gonna get me lean and ripped and shredded. No, bro. I fucking mountain bike for 18 miles, and then my body stores everything. It holds on to everything for dear life.
You saw my bike, right? You know, like my mini mountain bike. It's a BMX bike, but
yeah,
that's what I bike on.
Yeah, well, see, I got it right here. You can see, because I did 23. I know a lot of conspiracy theorists are stupid for giving me DNA, but they already have my DNA anyways because my father went to prison. They had his DNA anyways, which means they got mine. So there's no point in me hiding my DNA from the government because they already got it anyways. Freaking. Yeah, see, I got it right here, dude.
You know, swimmers naturally way more than other endurance athletes because the water actually you adapt to the water. You when you run, like when you get on your feet, yeah, sometimes you can build more fat after the fact, but it reduces your appetite because you're creating calories, heat, energy as you run, right? You're not cooling down as much. As you're in water, unless the water is very warm, you're probably burning calories to stay warm, right? But then that actually makes you crave more food, and then it goes into that digestive system, and you actually eat more.
So 1,000 years from now, if humans still exist, where do you guys think we're going to be at? Or them are going to be at?
We'll be space travelers 6,000 years from now, I think so.
I don't know, dude. Do you know much about ion propulsion, Catboy?
About what now?
That's the next generation.
Have you heard of, like, I'm not saying you got to know every last detail, but do you, like, know at all of ion propulsion?
Ion propulsion? Not really. Is that like what the flying saucer might be?
No. Like ion propulsion is like something that we have the technology for ion propulsion. Like you can make a drone fly with ions. Have you ever seen like an ionic air purifier?
Yeah, I have.
Okay, you know how they can move air? There's no fans, there's no moving parts, but the ions move air. Have you ever felt the air moving in it?
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I'm not really sure how they work. I just
that is the mildest, weakest form of ion propulsion. What's happening is there's it's an ion generator, and those ions are propelling outward. They're shooting out, and you feel the air moving because of that. They're moving air molecules, right? Okay? That's literally, so like, people have taken that same concept and made ion drones, right? Like, look, here's like an ionic drone. I can show you a video. Right, look, here's an ion propulsion drone, okay? So this drone is literally has 0 moving parts, right? 0 moving parts. It is moving because those metal blades are producing ions that are shooting out so fast and so hard that it's creating lift, right? Creates thrust. Moving ions. Moving ions can interact with anything solid pretty much, or any kind of matter, and create propulsion, right? So ions repel or push against any kind of molecules, right? For the most part, air molecules, the molecules that were made of anything, right? Knowing this, okay? There is an ionosphere. There is an ionosphere, an invisible shield around the Earth called an ionosphere, okay? Those same ions that are making that little drone lift and go and shoot air out of it, those same ions are spinning around the Earth in an invisible barrier that's like miles thick at 1,000,000 times the speed with 1,000,000 times the power all around the Earth. You think that a craft can go through those ions when you know that ions create thrust?
So you think that it's impossible to go into space, is what you're saying?
Dude, if you tried to go into those moving ions, the ionosphere, it would literally just repel you. You would bounce off of it. You would hit it, and it would just go. You would try and go through it, and you'd be repelled.
What about
because of the force generated by moving ions? It would also
think the moon landing that it might actually be impossible to space travel.
The ionosphere may extend past the moon at certain times of orbit. So the ionosphere is not perfectly round, and it actually is so far out that it actually goes past the moon. So if they were to time their going to the moon right, and they stayed on the moon for a few hours, they could go on the moon when it was at a certain point in the ionosphere. But I mean, pretty much the moon's pretty much almost always like the ionosphere is way out there, bro. It's out there. Like you gotta see it. It's huge, dude. It's enormous. It encompasses the moon.
I'm sorry. Can I interrupt quickly? What's the best medication for migraines? Is it Advil or ibuprofen or?
But the ionosphere is literally what you see glowing. It's not even invisible.
Water, Advil, aspirin.
No, but like, I'm just gonna buy some. I get migraines all the time. What do I buy? Advil?
Midol. Get some Midol.
I don't.
Either one.
That's what my friend's girlfriend used to give me when I get migraines. She gave me Midol.
Dude, the ionosphere is so powerful and repels molecules so hard that not even X-rays can get through. Not even rays, not even most rays are even repelled. Even like all kinds of things bounce off of it like it's fucking impenetrable. But for some magical reason, you can get huge solid crafts through it. But not even like 90% of rays can get through it. It's so impenetrable. Yeah, right, dude. It doesn't make any sense if you understand how ions work.
I do think we're being lied to. I actually believe that we have gone past the atmosphere. How do you explain satellites?
You could. They're in low Earth orbit. So every single satellite ever launched, this is not theory, this is fact, is in low Earth orbit. Low Earth orbit is thousands of miles away from the ionosphere.
Okay, there's
the ionosphere is like another 1,000 miles up.
The ionosphere, methosphere. What's up with the methosphere?
Exosphere.
Thermosphere is apparently the
and then there's the fucking you get it outer. You actually get to go to outer space.
Yeah, the legal definition of space has nothing to do with actual space. Actual space is out even further than the moon. It has nothing to do with the legal definition. The legal definition is just so that way businesses can legally differentiate between airspace and something above it. But just because you're out of airspace doesn't mean you're in outer space.
So the thermosphere apparently does extend to outer space. The thermosphere, the final layer.
That's not outer space then.
It extends to outer space. The edge of the thermosphere is apparently defined as outer space, the final layer.
Bro, I'm telling you, radio waves can't even get through the ionosphere. Like nothing can, bro. Like nothing, dude. I'm telling you, it is. If you know about ions, bro, if just a few little icons moving super slow, a few little ions moving super slow can move that drone and lift that drone and create that many pounds of thrust, I'm telling you, infinitely more moving at infinitely higher speeds with infinitely more energy are going to create infinitely more thrust. The amount of energy in that ionosphere moving around our Earth, bro, is there is no going through it, bro. It is a physical barrier that will repel the molecules of anything you try and push through it, bro. A craft, rays, fucking all that shit, dude. A little bit slips through, dude, and we know this from science. They teach you this shit, dude. But like, no, bro, like shit's bouncing off of that craft, dude. Including craft. Why do you think? I literally think that's what you're seeing when you see craft. Whenever they launch a craft at a big arched curved trajectory, and you see it at its very peak, skimming and hitting something that literally makes the sky glow blue and glow green and glow these crazy plasma colors that really remind you of, what do they remind you of? The Northern Lights. Why? Because that's literally the craft interacting with the ionosphere and fucking bouncing off of it, and they don't admit it, dude. People like use other fucking false nomenclature to try and confuse and make it seem ridiculous. They call it the dome, or the, what's the other fucking word they have for it? The whatchamacallit?
The firmament is what
the firmament. It's not a firmament, it's not a fucking dome. It's called the ionosphere. It's a very scientifically real thing. It's an impenetrable, it even holds our atmosphere in. All those super fast moving ions, they're the thing that we can't figure out that holds the ionosphere in. The atmosphere in. Air molecules even get repelled by it. You saw how air gets repelled by drones. It causes lift. That's how lift is made. The air is being repelled or pushed against by the ions. That's what's generating fucking pounds and pounds of thrust right here in this experiment of an ionic drone being lifted exclusively by ions. If you know that it can do that, then you absolutely know that that's what's holding the atmosphere in. It's a big shield around us, literally holding the atmosphere and holding air molecules in, repelling them and holding them, containing them into Earth. It's also containing us here, dude. You can't put a craft through something that not even air molecules can pass through, dude.
So if Elon Musk launches a giant dildo into space, the ions will power the craft.
Yes, basically the Earth, and this all makes perfect scientific sense. The Earth is a giant generator. We all know this, right? Isn't the Earth's core molten magma metal? Molten metal spinning at crazy speeds, blah, blah, blah. We all know how generators work, electrical generators, right? We know there's electricity everywhere around here. The Earth is basically a giant generator, and along with the rays that it traps from the sun, it created a huge force field, and that force field is literally what blocks things from space from hitting us and cooking us, and it's also what blocks us from getting out. The very thing that creates and allows life here is also what stops us from leaving, dude. And that shit was created by the molten core of the Earth trapping a bunch of fucking energy in a certain pancake layer around our fucking entire globe, called the ionosphere. Things can't just not make sense, bro. And the only thing that makes sense is that the ionosphere is pretty impenetrable, because we wouldn't have an atmosphere otherwise. The vacuum of space would have sucked away our atmosphere a long time ago if it wasn't for the fucking ionosphere literally holding it here. They like to act like they can terraform other planets, bro. They're fucking retards, dude. You can't terraform planets without fucking ionospheres, dude.
Hello, LGBT, HIV, I'm offended.
Well, we're not there. We're not completely. We haven't even left the fucking the system.
So we haven't even left the outer reaches of the atmosphere. We haven't even left our own atmosphere yet, ever. Even if we went to the moon, you can Google the fact that the atmosphere extends past the moon, so we haven't even left the atmosphere if we went to the moon. And I don't even think we went there, personally. Why can't you see pictures of the rover on Mars? Or, I mean, on the moon? Why can't you see pictures? If you were to take a telescope... No, if you were to take a telescope right now and try and find the rover yourself that was left behind by the lunar missions, you can't find it. You can't. You can't if you were to take a powerful telescope right now. Huh?
Couldn't you astrally project your way to the moon and explore it that way?
They have. That's how the government actually did it. And it's all in Project Stargate. Go right now. I'll go to the CIA.gov website, and I'll show you the document where we literally did do that. We also went to Mars that way. Here, library, Freedom of Information Act, reading room, Mars. Stargate and Mars. So if you type that in.
That one looks a little like the moon. You see her white face there? Sometimes the moon kind of looks like you see her.
Cheers, dudes. I'm ripping it down.
Dog on the moon. Dog on.
Draft minutes from Stargate. Stargate meetings, Stargate, blah, blah. If you click, one of these has the Mars shit, dude.
Can you find some classified documents?
Yeah, about Stargate, yeah. I was reading the classified documents too.
The Freedom of Information Act has all of that stuff here, dude.
So really quick, just since we were talking about migraines, it's a stress-based thing in part. It's multiple factors. Women are more likely to have it, so Midol is a thing. But not YouTube, on Facebook today, there was a thing about how stress can actually cause damage to your brain. Because first, angry, there was a guy doing Tai Chi, to mediate his stress. So, like, it's just a general health and wellness, approach where you reduce the amount of stress, even the stress of too much computer light, not what you want to hear, but
Constant work right now is fucking
the stuff we're reading, even though it's been declassified, has been downgraded and censored. So, like, all of this stuff, bro, is just like not even. I think people have been they not only did they erase certain things, they also modified certain things to make it not so obvious to us. But like. It says downgrade and declassify, not just declassify, which you would think would be the downgrading of it. Its classification says no. They mean downgrade and declassify. They're talking about